Disclaimer, this video explores a highly controversial and evolving conflict. What you'll hear is not a statement of support for any side, but a psychological and strategic interpretation of events. The goal is to expand understanding, not reinforce ideology. Missiles are flying, leaders are posturing, civilians are caught in the middle. But behind every strike and speech lies something deeper: fear, legacy, ego, and trauma. This isn't just a war over land or uranium. It's a psychological chess match between two nations, and the world is watching. Launch with me on this journey to understand what's really driving the Iran-Israel conflict. Watch until the end. You might never see these events the same way again. Part 1. Strategic Psychology. Why Israel Struck First. Benjamin Netanyahu isn't just waging a military campaign. He's battling ghosts, the ghost of a past that we all know, and the ghost of time running out. Let's see why Israel struck first. Israel's Operation Rising Lion didn't happen in a vacuum. It was the psychological culmination of three internal forces shaping Netanyahu's mind. 1. Survivor state paranoia. Israel's founding trauma is cellular. Never again isn't rhetoric. It's doctrine. In Netanyahu's model, preemption is survival. Waiting is too dangerous. 2. Legacy anxiety. After decades in power, Netanyahu is gambling his own leadership. He doesn't want to be remembered as a negotiator. He wants to be remembered as the man who prevented nuclear catastrophe. 3. Distractive calculus. At home, Netanyahu faces backlash, protests, and political fatigue. Striking Iran is not just strategy, it's psychological redirection. The nation unites when there's an outside threat. Part 2. Khamenei's response. Martyrdom, deterrence, and internal fire. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei doesn't just lead a country, he believes he safeguards a divine revolution. But he is cornered, not just militarily, but psychologically. 1. Martyrdom logic. When generals and scientists die, they're not mourned. They're elevated. Framing their deaths as sacred sacrifice shields the regime from shame. 2. Fear of internal collapse. Khamenei's greatest threat might not be Israeli missiles. It's Iranian youth. A weak response could trigger rebellion. A strong one could trigger war. He is caught in a deterrence trap. 3. Deterrence theater. Every missile launched is not just a strike. It's a performance. A message to the world. We are still standing. Part 3. Fear and perception. Which nation feels more cornered? Israel, paradoxically, may feel less psychologically destabilized. Its population is accustomed to living under existential threat. The Iron Dome, years of military readiness, and a deep sense of unity when attacked may give Israelis a kind of emergency normalcy. But for how long? The Israeli population is still in shock after the attack on October 7, 2023. Experiencing another conflict when the wounds from the previous one are still open is psychologically devastating. However, Israel's deeper psychological tension lies in its isolation. Unlike past conflicts, international support is fractured. The EU is hesitant. The US is politically polarized. This breeds a subtle but growing sense of strategic loneliness. A fear of being right and alone. What about Iran? In recent hours, there have been reports that the Iranian regime is currently very vulnerable and has very few options for response. This would leave room for rebel forces and dissidents within the government to organize a possible coup. For many Iranians, this moment could be seen as a rare opportunity, a chance to bring down an oppressive regime and revive a freer, more open society reminiscent of the pre-revolutionary Iran of the 1970s. Iran's population is entering uncharted psychological territory. Many civilians, particularly the urban middle class, did not emotionally invest in nuclear ambitions. Now they are suffering for elite decisions. The drone footage of Isfahan's fallout may invoke not just anger at Israel, but resentment toward Tehran's opaque leadership. But for others, the crisis triggers a deep-seated psychological reflex, the sense of being under siege by foreign powers. The regime, however flawed, becomes a symbolic shield against perceived Western arrogance and historical humiliation. In this mindset, Rallying around Khamenei isn't just political loyalty, it's a defensive assertion of identity, sovereignty, and cultural pride in the face of external domination. Fear here is twofold: of foreign war and domestic repression. Part 4. Superpower Psychology. The Great Game Within the Game. Donald Trump's support for Israel isn't just policy. It's persona. It feeds his need to dominate headlines, to portray himself as the man who brings order to chaos. Meanwhile, Vladimir Putin is making chaos his playground. As the West looks east, he pushes forward in Ukraine. He may transfer weapons to Iran. He may launch cyber strikes on Israel, or host a summit to pose as peacemaker. Xi Jinping's recurring strategy has made the world know that China doesn't pick sides. Beijing is likely to issue ambiguous condemnations while using this crisis as a soft power wedge. Psychologically, Chinese leadership views chaos as entropy to be managed. If the U.S. commits to supporting Israel, China positions itself as the rational alternative, strengthening ties with Gulf states and presenting the BRI, Belt and Road Initiative, a massive global infrastructure and economic development project, as the path to stability. Xi Jinping's internal calculation is don't take sides, take market share. Part 5. Outcome Scenarios. Possibilities under psychological conditions. Scenario 1. Escalation to regional war. If Iran kills top Israeli officials, Netanyahu will escalate. Syria, Hezbollah, even US bases could ignite. Scenario 2. Hybrid war. Missiles, cyber attacks, proxy fights. Symbolic but survivable. Both sides saving face without full war. Scenario 3. Iranian regime destabilization. If Iran's retaliation fails, anger may turn inward. A regime already weakened could fall, which is probably what Netanyahu is trying to pursue right now. Scenario 4. Surprise de-escalation. Back channels open. Qatar, UAE, or Turkey mediate. But it requires both leaders to suppress their egos, which is rare. Part 6. Public opinion and mass psychology, where the people stand. Israel is united under pressure but fractured inside. The religious right sees this as prophecy fulfilled. The urban liberals see disaster unfolding. Iran. Pride and exhaustion collide. On the Iranian street, two contradictory forces are brewing: rally effect. Strikes on national symbols, nuclear facilities, commanders, temporarily unify public sentiment. Exhaustion effect. Economic desperation, generational disillusionment, and fatigue from perpetual confrontation create deep apathy and quiet dissent. This duality means that the regime can count on short-term unity, but not long-term obedience. Final thought: the leader's shadows cast the future. This is no longer just war. It's theater. It's legacy. It's trauma on a global stage. Netanyahu and Khamenei believe they are making history, but the future will be shaped by something deeper. Not weapons, not alliances, but psychology. The next move will be decided by ego, fear, identity, and memory. In the end, this isn't just a war of missiles. It's a war of minds, memories, and men trying to outlive history. So, tell me in the comments, what do you think is really driving this conflict? Thanks for watching. If you found this perspective valuable, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Thinkstronaut for more deep dive analysis, and hit the bell button so you don't miss what happens next.